So to start off with, you're going to need a piece of watercolor practice paper, which you should have in your pack. It's this like long piece. You should have 2 of them actually. We're only going to need 1 for today. So get out one of these, okay? And you're going to need your watercolors, a pencil, and you should have a smaller and larger brush. If you don't have a larger brush, let me know and we can come up with some kind of way for you to spread water. You can do it with a cotton ball if you lost your larger brush, or something like a sponge to wet down the interior of your area. Okay, so I have this example to show you guys. We are going to be doing wet on wet techniques today, which means getting the paper wet and also getting your brush wet before you dip into your paint. So then you are placing your wet watercolor paint onto the wet page, which is why it's called a wet on wet technique. The variation between these 4 different examples is these 2 are with 2 colors, these 2 are with 3 colors. And then the difference between these 2 sections here is the top ones, you can see they're a little bit lighter. I use a lot more water on these ones, whereas on these ones I use as much pigment as possible, okay, and I have a little bit more control with what I'm doing down here, and I have higher pigments. So we were going to learn dry on wet techniques, but these paints need a little bit of water to activate them. So these are also a wet on wet technique, but with a lot more paint and a lot less water than these ones. So to start off with, divide your paper into 4 sections. So you're going to want to draw a line down the middle, draw half lines for each one of these sections. They don't have to be perfect. And then I have a circle for my example, but you can do any shape. I can do a heart if I want to. What's important is that you're filling up the space, so you can use the whole space to practice. Okay, and so then I'm going to write wet on wet. And I'm going to write 2 colors so that I know that this space is my 2 color examples. Okay, and then I'm going to draw another heart, and this is also wet on wet. 3 colors. Down here I'm going to draw a different shape. You guys don't have to do this, but I want to make a distinction between the top half and the bottom half to show you that the way that we're treating these sections will be different. So this is also wet on wet. Two colors. And I'm also going to draw a more distinct line here so you guys see that. And wet on wet, 3 colors. Okay, so to start off with, you're going to need some clean water. Mine is slightly dirty and I should probably go get more, but it's fine for the sake of the demo. So I'm going to take my larger brush, and if you don't have a larger brush, your cotton ball or sponge or whatever else you have in your house, and I'm going to wet down the entire interior of my heart. And then I'm going to choose 2 colors. I'm going to do blue and orange. So I dip my brush into the water before I'm picking up pigment. And I'm going to get a little bit more water because this is my lighter section. And whenever you touch your paintbrush to the heart, it should expand like this. Okay, that's how you know that you have enough water. And I'm going to do this in a couple more sections. I'm just touching my paintbrush to the paper and letting it expand, and if I want more expansion, all I have to do is get a little bit more water on my brush and go boop and let it spread. It's like science. It's really cool. And it kind of gives you this like tie-dye effect. Keep in mind that whatever you put down is going to dry a lot lighter than whenever you first place it. So over here, these ones are kind of starting to dry, but they're not even all the way dry. And some of these blues are just as dark as this one here, but they're going to dry a lot lighter and even lighter than this. Okay. So next I clean my brush off before I dip into my next color. I'm getting some orange on here, and I'm wetting that down a little bit. And then I'm just adding that in a couple of different places. And adding some water to let these kind of naturally mix. I don't have to move my paintbrush around and swirl these for them to mix. I can just place my brush in a couple of areas and dab and let them mix on their own. So right there, that one's gonna mix in with this orange down here and some of the orange here.